Edo State Governor Godwin Obaseki don't promise more support for Edo State Vigilante network to help the security of lives and property for the state. Governor Obaseki talked this one for the special state security meeting with key stakeholders for Edo North. For the reason of this special security meeting, Obaseki talks say,
we are here again as we approach the end of the year to fulfill our promise. If you recall, about 6 months ago I was here. This type of a session, a special security council meeting, which we moved to Edo North as part of our style of governance, of coming to the people and not just waiting in Benin to invite our people to come and meet us there all the time. These sort of interactions also helps us to see things for ourselves, to understand the situation on ground. You recall the last time I was here, we had a very extensive meeting on security, where we went through reports from each local government and were briefed on the situation on ground. We also agreed that certain steps and actions should be taken in each local government and that we should monitor these steps on a monthly basis. And reports should be sent to me in Benin City monthly. I want to thank all of you. I have received monthly reports from each local government up till the report for November ending. We compile all these reports and we take specific interests in areas where we see that the situation is not improving or we're seeing an increase in incidents. Unfortunately, particularly in Akoko Edo and Esako East, we've witnessed another upsurge in criminal activities, particularly kidnapping. So I'm here with members of the Security Council to come and hear from you and find out what exactly is going on, and to also share with you some of our thoughts and plans, particularly at this time of the year.
Heads of local government administration for the local government areas for Edo North and traditional leaders come chook mouth for the security situation for their communities.
I wish to make the following report on the ongoing measures to maintain security in Akoko Edo local government. Activities that had taken place, especially in line with the directive of His Excellency, right from August, particularly, from which we had to increase surveillance on security activities, include the registration of markets within the local governments. Having carried out registration of markets within the local government, the recognized major markets include Ebegiri Market, Ibilo Market, Enwa Market, Igara Market, and Ikbeshi Market. This activity was carried out to properly designate markets and to prevent hoodlums from using markets as hideouts. Update on bush combing and evacuation of illegal structures in our bushes within Akoko Edo local government area. It is currently a routine activity which it was initiated around August, 1st of August, but it's an ongoing activity. But we had intensified the ongoing activity within the past 7 days, and we have been combining the bush combing activity with an exercise we call show of force, because we had to also recruit the assistance of the military personnel. We were fortunate also to have an additional 8 military personnel posted to Akoko Edo local government. The activities also include continuous surveillance using their vehicles from Igara to Auchi and back. In bush combing activity in Akoko Edo local government, it was classified into 3 major zones, so that on routine combing activities, these 3 major zones are noted. Within the Igara major zone, the flashpoint and the hotspot particularly include a point within Igara as you are leaving Igara going to Sasaru called the Joe Works. Within the Ibilo zone, the identified flash points include Ikiron, Ile, and Uboshi Afe bushes. We had to introduce the military to erect checkpoints within that area. And then within the Ososo zone, the flash point there is the Makeke Epe Ogori bushes. The continuous bush combing activities and the show of force is meant to systematically remove criminals from bushes and forests within Akoko Edo. Activity 3, that's the registration and screening of vigilantes. The registration and screening of vigilantes became necessary because alarm was raised concerning people that appear to look like fake vigilantes. So we had to embark on screening of our vigilante for proper records. Activity 4, security issue worthy of note. The local government is indeed pleased with His Excellency for timely intervention and the deployment of tactical teams with drone expertise to rescue 27 adopted victims who were kidnapped on the 24th of November 2022 along Ikiron Oke in Ososo axis of Akoko Edo local government. These victims were eventually rescued on the 30th of November 2022 in Iyamu area of Kogi State. The Akoko Edo local government people were indeed happy to experience the display of professional tactics of the usage of drone within the area of the kidnap.
I want to see that the Oma West local government is relatively peaceful for now because of the strategy that adopted by the security operatives in that local government. And we are still working on such strategies to continue in that regard because it has yielded a good result for us. The joint security operatives are on alert for the entire local government, and I'm happy to inform you, Your Excellency, that their work is actually using good result. Their bush combing that they went last week, Friday, nothing was discovered, and no intruder has entered the bush. The vigilante operatives, we have actually registered them and made them registered, and we are still working on some of them who have not yet been invited to the network security. We are working on them to screen them and to bring them to the fold, that they will be working as one.
We remember precisely that some months ago, the state government mandated all hoggers to ensure that we have registered security architecture. Like for instance, the vigilantes and the hunters to mine the various community, which we all complied to. So today, SACO is having a list of Edo security network representing the communities. That's the 10 wards of ESACO East. We ensure that we provide materials for the exercise or activities that I will mention later. Some of these materials are vehicles which are being fueled by the local government. Then the materials that they also use when they go for bush combing, they're also being provided by the local government. Local government ensure that they provide stipends for the vigilante and the hunters that carry out these activities I will mention later. Then we also provide funding for entertainment during the peace and security meeting. The first activity there, like recently when we met with the deputy governor, we also directed that we should ensure that we revisit the activities that were carried out in the month of August and September because of this Utah period. One of them is show of force, which we've already started in the axis of the Okbela and that of Wepa Wano. relatively, Isako East has been peaceful. Not until of recent when the issue of boundary dispute between Okwela in Edo State and Okene in Kogi State came up. So there were little friction between the youth of Okwela and that of Okene. But to God be the glory, the Senate Committee on Boundary Dispute had recently made it clear that the boundary, the natural boundary should be followed. Not only that, the companies, that is the Boa company and Dangote, should provide the fund for the government, that is to put a permanent structure following what was there before, so that this crisis between Okene and Okwela will stop.
Been nationally recorded that Auchi is the fastest growing community in Nigeria. Now, having said that, Auchi has become the most heavily guided community on security matters. I believe that we are all responsible for our security if we realize that God is security and we celebrate Him. There is so much corruption, there is so much rebellious activities in and out in the part of this country. And what is responsible for that? If we do not believe that we have to give sadaqah, that is charity, at the national level, at the state level, at the local government level, since 1997, I have provided 2 vehicles, that is tippers, for local government, Esako West. One is still upstanding. It was about 2 months or 3 months ago, I said to the driver, I said, look, go to the council chairman, let him be buying fuel for this vehicle. I have tried my best. He should try his better best. Now, what are we talking about security? Security, as I said, is Almighty Allah. And what you do to secure your invocation to Him is that you should do sadaqah. You should give and give and give to others. You may think that you don't have enough money, but that little money you have, take a little bit out of it to give to others. Then you are secure. Almighty Allah secure you. There's no other security. Let me explain this. I'm on the Vigilante group 1 million today. I promised them 1 million when they came, demonstrating. And I said the charitable initiative, fund initiative that we set up, we also give them 1 million. And every time we have OIC meeting, they keep on harping on the fact that Otaru has not given the 1 million. They are not giving the charity 1 million. I said, look, what work are you doing? When some people broke into the shops, small shop for these ladies, and they came into the palace crying. And I said to this Vigilante, I said, well, you are not working. If you were working, these people cannot break into these shops. Therefore, I'm not giving you anything that I have promised until I make sure that you are doing what you are supposed to be doing. But we thank them for what they are doing because they are not paid. Local government don't give them any stipend. And the community, what we have from time to time, we distribute. So I will appeal to you, Your Excellency. You are doing very well in this state. It's never been the case that the governor will come to, the senatorial district to talk about security. But what I observe in the country, entire country, is that the roads are bad. If the roads are bad, people are not doing their job. The government is not doing a job. And the people are not coming out to tell government it's your job, it's your responsibility to give us good roads. But the moment you have good roads, I can assure you this problem will solve.
Some of the organ they are trying, some are not trying at all. Your Excellency, even some of my colleagues are trying and some are not trying. You see, the other time, His Excellency, the Deputy Governor, invited us to Benin when you were on leave. And he gave an order. I want to know how many traditional rulers has carried out that order. Many of us are still harboring the herdsmen. They are collecting money from them. And they will say that there is a law in Nigeria. If a stranger comes to your house and you are seeing the person carrying weapon, the person wants to kill you, will you allow that person to stay? Your Excellency, I think you have to sound a warning to some of the traditional rulers. Your Excellency, it's not only the Fulanis are kidnappers. If you recognize them, this is when they will hurt you and they will kill you. I want to mention one case from my community. There are some bad boys in Azukala community. The case went viral when the boys were apprehended. They made a kidnap attempt on one Igbo man. They even shot him. These testers came out. The man was taken to the hospital, but thank God that the man recognized them. Your Excellency, I'm telling you now, those boys are constituting nuisance in a query. Police did not prosecute them. They left them. They just gave money to them and they gave them on bail. I'm calling on the Commissioner of Police, please, bring back that file and dust it and make sure you charge them to court. Your Excellency, your government is now good. If I have to give you percentage, let me say 75 or 80. Because, Your Excellency, you have somehow before abandoned us, and we are all under your care. No any other person more than you. There is a tradition of our prophet that says, Kulukum ra'i, wa kullu rayati mas'ulu an rayatihi. That if you are placed in a position, you are an overseer. As the time approach, and Almighty Allah will ask you, how far have you overseen your responsibility? So right now, I can see, I'm happy that what I have been talking or yearning for is now on ground. Your Excellency, last week I got a message from Abuja, from Mieti Allah, that why don't I want to see Fulanis in my community? I said, well, when my late father was a traditional ruler, I know Fulanis were in my community. But they were not disturbing as it is now. A headman will lead cattle into your farm, and when you are asking for ransom for the destruction, he will tell you they are the owners of Nigeria. Your Excellency, I don't know if I may ask, is there any other person that is more Nigerian than me or you?
I want to make an appeal, sir. The Sasaro, if you can help us, sir, we'll be very grateful, we from Akoko Edo, because the kidnap is normally from Sasaro to Ayetoro axis, then Okpe Hills. If you can help us with the road, it's about 2 to 3 kilometers. I know it's a federal road, but because of what is happening, please, sir, we'll be very grateful, we from Akoko Edo. God bless you, sir.
Obaseki, for him response, talk say for Edo, it is illegal to do open grazing sake of the anti-open grazing law. It constitutes mount for the Edo residency card and how it go elect for security matter.
One of your highnesses mentioned sustainability, that we must continue and ensure that we don't lose some of the gains that we have made in our efforts to fight crime and criminality. I agree with our royal father, the Otaro of Auchi, that ultimately it is God that secures us. And the way we organize ourselves, the way we look out for each other, the way we manage our economy is the only long-term sustainable way of guaranteeing security. But between now and when we're able to achieve that, we will have to do some things for ourselves. There is a law in Edo State which I have signed, the anti-open grazing law. So it is illegal for anybody to graze openly or in an area that has not been so marked. And the law's provisions are very, very clear and will be and must be given full effect. So people must understand that there is now a law in Edo which prohibits open grazing. And if people are going to graze, whatever arrangements they have to fall within the stipulation of that law. I'm making copies again available to every local government security committee to study, and within 1 month make sure that we give full effect to that law. For us to have effective security, we must know the people we are securing. That is why in Edo State, we have decided to have our own citizens identification, which is tied to the National Identification Scheme. So citizen registration is going on, and they will be approaching you, if they have not approached you already, on the plans for you to register the people, citizens in your domain. If you don't have an identity as a resident of Edo, your children will not be able to go to school, any of our schools. You will not be able to sell in any market. You will not be able to attend any of our hospitals, because we must know that you exist. Can you secure somebody that you don't know? So we must know, and provisions have been made to make sure that we give everybody an identity, which is tied to the national identity. So that way we know who is coming in, who belongs to who resides in a particular community, and who does not reside there, and who is visiting for the short term. It is so important. That is what happens everywhere in the world. You just can't move into a place and stay there and nobody knows you are there and they don't know who you are. Or you go and rent a house, nobody knows who you are. You give any name, it's not possible. From January, we're going to give it a lot of push. And we'll be securing your support. We've been going around local government by local government, community by community, to talk to you on this issue.
Obaseki constantly promised more Okada for Vigilante to help their operations. He constantly took out for the new markets, especially cattle and ram markets.
We are going to immediately purchase motorbikes to support the transportation which we currently have and making provisions for. We'll continue to buy Sienna vans for you, but what I've heard from you is that we immediately need to procure quite a number of motorbikes and give it to our vigilantes for patrol. For markets, we are beginning to see markets spring up, particularly markets for cows and rams and for animal husbandry. Our view is that many of these cows may be rustled cows. So we need to know and ensure that those markets are either closed or registered. Maybe they are temporary markets, but even if they are temporary markets, we need to know about them so that we know who is selling what in those markets. It's not unlikely that what they are selling there are rustled animals from other places.
For support and training of vigilantes, Obaseki talks
our vigilante network, our power, and the hunters, we cannot say thank you enough. And we can never take your services for granted. The vigilante networks are varied. Different communities have set up markets, they're varied. Our role as government is to organize them and also provide some support. We are currently screening to check who set up which vigilante group, the purpose, and who is in charge. We're going to start training, and I've said the 7 local governments of Edo North will be the first whose vigilante commanders will be trained from January. I've also said that the vigilantes must be supported, even if it has been set up by communities, associations, whatever. We have to support them with some stipends and some logistics. So commencing this month, first, as my own thank you to the Vigilante Network in Edo State, I'm mandating the local governments and I've made provision that I am going to give you a Christmas bonus, just to say thank you for the work you have done this year.
Obaseki Council promised repair of major roads for Edo State.
For roads, we will be grading as many of the roads in your areas. There's work that is going on now. For those very, very bad portions, even if they are federal roads, you don't have federal citizens, you have Edo citizens. We will repair those roads so that we can make them motorable and ensure that criminals don't take advantage of bad, very, very bad portions. I also noticed coming here that I think it was by Ibiaro, there are too many road breaks. Please, let us space them. I understand that you don't want people, reckless drivers, to speed carelessly, but if they are not properly spaced, they also cause security hazard for our drivers and our commuters. I want to thank you on behalf of the service chiefs and members of our Security Council for the support that we have received from all of you this year. I want to thank you for your patriotism.
People went under for the security meeting with Mr. Governor and Deputy Governor of Edo State, Right Honorable Comrade Philip Shaibu, Commissioner of Police Edo State, Mohammed Adamu Dankwara, and heads of security agencies for Edo State. Omo Aluke Ajakaye, TMC TV News. Make sure remember, see your PVC and have your power. No, I'm giving any politician on election day.